Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Silver Eyes, the world's shittiest book.
I'm N.
I'm E.
And I'm A.
And together we are... Yeah!
That's the stupidest intro.
But it's hilarious.
You're just retarded.
I know.
You want me to careful, I will use your actual name. You're almost finished with this shit. I don't want to fucking hear it.
You realize I'm bringing you the other two books, right?
Did you say you're pregnant with the other two books?
We've already read the other book. We just need the third one.
You're not getting the third one now that I know that you need the third
I
one.
want to sing my taco. Not taco, doggo. Dog.
Shut the fuck up, alright?
What is doggo?
Alright, Charlie, go.
Earlier that night, when they were still wide awake, the closet opened and her mother looked in.
Wait, what? She came in from the fucking closet?
An awkward moment when you're stuck in the closet.
She was
that's not
haloed
where
by the
pictures are.
light
They're in
from
here.
behind her, smiling down at her twins,
So,
radiant in her long,
my doggo.
elegant dress, her flowing hair, her gleaming tiara. What the fuck?
This is a size comparison of my two dogs.
Mommy's a princess!
No, look.
Charlie murmured
This is the size comparison.
sleepily, and her mother bent down and kissed her cheek. Just for tonight, she whispered, and then she left them
Just shut
in
down my phone.
the dark sleep. Why is that not italicized? It's the fucking quotation!
That's where it is.
You whore.
I know. I've got way too many husbands.
She was
And
a princess, she said.
I've got
What
like,
are you, Mormon?
What? Who?
I've got like 40 kids. I'm not a
Mother,
Mormon.
She was dressed up as a princess. It was a Halloween party. John, go to November 1st.
John shrugged briefly with the controls.
Why is there a Halloween party on November 1st?
And then it was
Because they're
there.
like Internet
The
Explorer.
headline was small, but it was on the front page of the paper. Monday, November 1st, toddler snatched. Charlie turned away. John began to read aloud until I cut in, stopping him.
My vehicle's here. Goodbye.
They're
Charlie,
like,
go.
can I say my joke first?
No.
They're like a certain browser. They're a little slow. Okay.
You're just delaying finishing this. You did
Yes,
that.
Don't, she said.
Just tell me if it has anything useful.
We got Charlie back up with the wall.
Oh, we're back.
He was quiet, and then she stared anxiously at the door, waiting, tracing the knots in a false blue with her eyes. There's a picture, he finally said. You need to look. She leaned over her shoulder. The story had continued on an entire page inside with a picture of the restaurant, of the family all together. We're on this chapter. And of her and Sammy, though neither of the twins were named in the article. In the bottom left corner, the picture of her father and another man. Their arms were slung among each other's shoulders, and they were grinning happily.
Hold up, and another man.
Yeet!
I wonder where her mom went.
It's her mom.
She left. Charlie said, it says they were joint owners, John said quietly.
Oh, totally.
Charlie said, I'm going to take her eyes from the picture from the face they both knew. Suddenly the door behind them erupted and pounding from outside and they both jumped. Charlie! John! Are you in here? Marla said as one, and Charlie, Marla, they said as one. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Marla, they said as one, and Charlie rushed to the door and threw it open. Oh, yeah.
Marla, what is it?
She was red-faced and breathless, and Harriet was anxiously hovering behind her. Marla's hair was wet, water dripping down her face, but she did not wipe it away even to notice.
I was started.
Charlie thought. The mundane reflection drifting unbidden into her head to spy her along. He's gone! Jason's gone! Marla cried. What? John said. He's gone back to phrase. I know he has, she said. He kept saying we should go back, that we shouldn't be hanging around all day. I thought he was in another room, but I looked everywhere. I know that's where he is, she said all in one breath and ending, gasping. A faint whining hum resonated under her breath, a keen sound she kept unable to stop making. Oh no! Charlie said, come on, Marla pressed. She was jittering, vibrating.
My
John
Charlie voice is just voice
put a hand on her shoulder as if to comfort her, and she shook her head. Don't try to calm me down. Just come with me, she insisted, but there was no anger, only desperation.
Don't try to calm me down.
She turned and almost ran to the door, and John and Charlie followed with a project look for the bemused librarian that left behind them.
Yeah, chapter 9.
There's 13 chapters, I'm pretty sure.
Reminds me of a certain book.
Oh, yes, Carlton. We're back with Carlton, my boy. Carlton opened his eyes.
He's dead.
His head stuffed tight with a massive pulsing ache. He was half sitting, stiffly propped against the wall. He found he could not move with his arms. His body was covered in a little random places of sharp pain and tingling numbness. He tried to shift away from the discomfort, but he was restrained somehow, and the little moves he could make just made new places hurt. He looked around the room, trying to get his bearings. It looked like a storage room. There were boxes along the walls, discarded cans of paint, and the other cleaning supplies were on the floor. But there was more.
I know.
There were piles of furry fabric everywhere.
I'm kidding.
Furry fabric. That's the real deal there.
Carlton peered at them sleepily.
What's your favorite?
He felt muzzly, like if he closed his eyes, he could fall asleep so easily. No, he shook his head hard, trying to clear it and yelped. Oh no! He groaned as he throbbed in his head and demanded attention. His eyes, his stomach flipped.
I found out he was a furry on Friday.
He clenched his jaw and closed his eyes, waiting for the pounding and nausea to recede.
Furry.
Eventually they did. Swear to God. He was wedged inside a heavy barrel-shaped torso of a mascot costume. The headless top half of some kind of animal. His arms were trapped inside the torso section, pinned to his sides in an unnatural position of some sort of framework. The arms of the costume hung limp and empty from the sides. His legs stuck out incredulously from the bottom, looking small and thin in contrast. He could feel other things inside the mascot torso, pieces of metal that pressed against his back and poked into him. He could feel raw patches of it on his skin, and he could not tell if the thing he felt trickling down his back was sweat or blood. I hope it's not any of them, because one wrong move and you're spring locked, buddy. Something was pressing into the sides of his neck. When he turned his head, however, it was dug into his skin. The costume's fur was dirty and matted, a faded card that might once have been a bright blue, but now is only a bluish approximation of beige. Way too many details. I don't need to know all of this shit. Do you agree with me? Okay, great. He could see a head of the same color of a few feet away, sitting on a cardboard box, and with a flicker of curiosity he looked at it, but he could not tell what it was supposed to be. It looked as if someone had been told to make an animal and had done just that, but careful not to make it look like any specific type of animal. He looked around the room, comprehension dawning. He knew where he was. The piles of fabric had faces. They were empty costumes, mascots in the restaurant, deflated, collapsed, and staring empty-eyed at him. They wanted something. He looked around, trying to assess calmly, through his heart was fluttering alarmingly in his chest. The room was small, a single bulb overhead lighting it dimly and flickering ever so slightly, giving the place a distinct impression of movement. My God, way too many details. A small little desk fan. Hold on. Brown with rust, gently isolated in the corner. The air blew. It was heavy with the stale sweat of costumes left unwashed for a decade.
Okay, so if she's wanting to portray like creepy things, you wouldn't say the faces were faded. You would say the faded faces, and then you would bring something up about their eyes, because eyes tend to freak people out of it. Not silver. It would probably be like the faded faces had eyes that pierced your soul, or their soul-piercing eyes.
Yeah,
something like that, because that sounds a little more eerie than their faded faces.
Yeah,
or their.
Sounds like someone like faded someone's face somehow.
Yeah. Photoshop. Oh wait, that's wrong.
Alright, hold on. Fuck, where was I? Carlton was too hot, the air felt too thick. He tried to stand, but without his arms he couldn't brace himself. As he moved, he felt another violent wave of nausea, and suddenly, any surge of pain in his head. I wouldn't do that.
That's not Mom.
A raspy voice muttered. Carlton looked around, seeing no one, and the door opened. It moved slowly, and somewhat beneath his terror, Carlton felt a twinge of impatience. Who is it? Let me out of this, he said in a panicked desperation. The door squeaked like an injured animal as it glided open. Really bad. Almost of its own accord, the frame empty. After a moment pause, a yellow rabbit poked its head around the corner, its ears tilting in a jaunty angle. It lay still for a moment, almost posing. Then it came in with bouncing walk, graceful, with none of the stiff, mechanistic movements of an animatronic animal. It did a small, dense step, spun, and took a deep bow. Then it reached up and took off its own head, revealing the man inside the costume. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, Carlton said, his nerves triggering an automatic wisecrack. Never trusted a rabbit, I say. It didn't make sense. It wasn't funny, but the words were coming out of his mouth without any input from his brain. He still felt sick. His head still ached, but he had suddenly visceral clarity.
Never trust a rabbit.
This is what happened to Michael. You are what happened to Michael. Don't speak, Dave said. Carlton opened his mouth to answer back with a smart remark out on his tongue when he saw the guard's face. He had seemed somehow faded when they met.
You really like the word faded.
Yeah. When they met, depleted and ineffectual, but now, as he stood over Carlton...
Distant was the word you were looking
Yeah. In his absurd looking rabbit costume, he looked different. Oh, no, I did, Sherlock. His face was the same, technically. His gaunt features and
furry, that's what's
sullen
different.
eyes. His skin that seemed to have worn thin, ready to snap from strain. But now there was a mean, undeniable strength in him. A rotundity that Carlton didn't recognize. Okay, this is for fucking young adult readers, and I can't even say these words. It occurred to Carlton years before that there were two types of nasty people. There were the obvious ones.
Hold on, let me see the word that you couldn't pronounce. I might know what it was. Rodentine vitality.
Do you know what that fucking means?
Rat-like life.
Okay.
Rodent-like.
Cool. But he's a fucking rabbit. Well, I
Yeah,
guess you could say
rabbits
rodent.
are rodents. They are very closely related to mice and rats.
And his 6th grade English teacher who yelled and threw erasers, or the kid in 5th grade who picked fights with smaller children after school. That type was easy. Their offense public, brutal, and undeniable. But then there was the other type of petty tyrant, those who grew spiteful with their small grasp of power, feeling more and more abused by the year, by families who did not appreciate them, by neighbors who slighted them in impersonal ways, by words that left them somehow lacking something essential. Before him stood someone who had spent so much of their life fighting like the quartered rat that he had taken off the mantle of bitter satism as an integratable part of himself.
Sadism.
Sadism.
Does that mean I think hold up.
I think it means like really angry.
Hold up. I think the only time I've used that is not a very family friendly. Sadist. Well, I know that sadistic means that you find pleasure in inflicting pain, suffering, or humiliation.
Hold on. It talks about it.
Okay.
He'll strike out against others and revel in their pain, feeling righteously that the world owned him his cruel pleasures. The guard's face, with malevolent delight, Carlton's pain and fear was the most terrifying thing he had ever seen. He opened and closed his mouth, then vigilantly found his voice. "What can my name for a serial killer is Dave," he said. It came out as a trembling croak, lacking even the echo of Bravo. Listen, he is beautiful.
It's a weird name, but I still love you.
They did not seem to hear him. I told you not to move, Carlton," he said calmly. She set the rabbit's head down the plastic crate and began fiddling with the fastenings at the back of his neck. "It's not an order, it's a friendly warning. Do you know what I've put you in?" "Girl?" Okay, I can't. It's pretty funny.